Nikki Haley, my good friend Saint Nick. It has been a very busy week for Nikki Haley. You know, there was that whole Christmas thing on Sunday and Monday where Saint Nick flies around the country, disappointing young children across America like she disappoints the voters in South Carolina. Primaries are rapidly approaching in Iowa and New Hampshire. This is the time of year where politicians who claim to be worried about climate change, better known here on the channel as Seasons, all these climate change pretenders travel around the country in their expensive mobile homes that get 5 miles a gallon, or their private jets that emit dangerous chemicals into our innocent atmosphere. They travel around the country to lecture their supporters, which, in the case of Nikki Haley, the number of her supporters, it has finally reached the triple digits. They lecture us on climate change, living a good, clean life without corruption. They tell us not to do everything that they are doing themselves. Although I find politics to be fascinating, I really do hate everything about it. Have you ever hate watched a show? Right now, I am hate watching The Challenge. The format of this current season of The Challenge, it sucks. It's awful. There's one girl on the show, I think her name is Michelle, or I don't know, maybe it's Michael. Nowadays, you just never can tell. But she's just, I don't know what it is about her. She's annoying. Every time she speaks, it's like nails being hammered into my ears. I cannot stand her on the show, but for some reason, I enjoy hate watching her on the show. It's weird. But I feel the same way about politics. One thing that bothers me the most about politics, it is the complete lack of authenticity. You know why Donald Trump won the election in 2016? Well, KC, of course we know. It was Russian collusion, damn it! No, Don was not colluding with Vlad. I believe you're mistaking him for Bob Greiner. He was running against Hill Clinton. Hilly C has never won anything presidential. It was an easy election for the Trumper to win. You know, that was definitely part of it. I mean, Hillary Clinton isn't exactly an electable candidate, but the main reason Donald Trump won in 2016, people perceived him as being authentic. He was fresh, he was new, he was offering something that we rarely see in politics. Donald Trump was not afraid to speak his mind. He was unfiltered, he wasn't worried about feelings. Most of the time when you see these politicians giving speeches, it's nothing but a polished turd. They're like that annoying brother-in-law at Christmas dinner. Every family has someone like this, the guy who talks a lot but says nothing. That's how a lot of these politicians are. They talk a lot and they never say a fucking thing that matters. Christie, for example, this dude's been running for president all year. Well, in the case of Christie, I wouldn't say that he's been running. Hell, I wouldn't even describe it as a brisk walk. The only time I have seen Christie run is when a bear took all the wieners off the grill and he had to run after him to catch his afternoon snack. Throughout the year, Christie, he has been campaigning to be president. But let me ask you something. What is his platform? What are his policies? Does anyone know? Every time I hear Christie speak, it's nothing but disdain towards people who choose to identify as an orange. One of the things I like so much about Vivek Ramaswamy, I feel like he is being real. I feel like he's being authentic. I feel like Vivek Ramaswamy is being himself. Doesn't mean I always agree with him, but when he speaks, he actually says something. I don't feel like I'm watching a robot who spent the weekend rejecting the advances of the Star Trek virgin Mike Freeman. Throughout this campaign, I have been highly critical of Nikki Haley. Vivek Ramaswamy has pulled back the curtain on her alleged corruption while governor of South Carolina. How has Nikki Haley responded? She hasn't. The one time she did respond, she pulled the mom card, lectured Vivek Ramaswamy on involving her children who haven't been children in many, many years. Most of us call them adults. I always feel like Nikki Haley is hiding something. I can't explain why I feel that way either. Maybe it's just my intuition, but like I say all the time, perception matters. And because I have that perception of Nikki Haley, I am highly skeptical of anything that involves her. Which is why I believe this clip I'm about to show you guys was 100% staged. Yesterday, Nikki Haley was speaking at a campaign rally in some small town in New Hampshire. Looked like she was speaking in a library. There was a nice setup of books in the background, plenty of room on the floor for mats for people who fell asleep while listening to this painfully boring speech. At one point, St. Nick took a question from the very small audience. Now, this particular question came from a surprising source. Came from someone that Megan Rapinoe is desperately trying to look like. Well, KC, was it a prepubescent boy? You're damn right it was. St. Nick took a question from a 9-year-old boy. Now, at first, I thought the kid was filing a complaint. I thought St. Nick left him a Barbie for Christmas instead of a toy monster truck. But this particular kid, he wasn't interested in talking about Christmas presents. He wasn't asking Nikki Haley how she makes it to millions of homes in the span of a few hours, all while emitting 0 dangerous chemicals into the air because her sleigh, it doesn't require fossil fuels. The only thing that the sleigh requires is imagination. This kid, he wanted to ask Nikki Haley why Christie keeps calling her a flip-flopper. A poor kid. I mean, obviously he's confused here. Christie, he's not calling Nikki Haley a flip-flopper. He was simply asking her if she would buy him a Whopper. But either way, watch for yourself.
Christie thinks that you're a flip-flopper on the Donald Trump issue. And honestly, I agree with him. You're basically the new John Kerry on the... If you remember John Kerry from 2004.
First of all, let me just say this. I do admire the courage in that kid. It is not easy to question a politician face to face. Hell, it's not easy for an adult to do it, much less a child. So good for this kid for having the courage at 9 years old to hit Nikki Haley with an accusation. Got no problem with the kid here. And this is pure speculation on my part, but this entire exchange, it feels staged. First of all, what 9-year-old is following politics? You know what I was following at 9 years old? Professional wrestling. I wasn't worried about Bill Clinton and his dalliances with interns. I was watching Shawn Michaels accusing Bret Hart of having an affair with Sonny. When I wasn't watching wrestling, I was watching the NFL or the NBA. I didn't give a fuck about Jim Jordan. I was watching Michael Jordan. I didn't care about Jesse Jackson. At 9 years old, if you asked me who is Jesse Jackson, I would have said, he's the father of Michael Jackson. What 9-year-old boy is following the presidential campaign of Nikki Haley? As you heard in the clip, he asked Nikki Haley if she remembers John Kerry from 2004. Now, I am not an expert in math, but unlike this kid, I did pass the 4th grade. He hasn't passed the 4th grade yet because he doesn't meet the age requirement. But don't worry, kid, don't worry. I'm sure you're going to have no problem passing. You seem like a smart kid, very well spoken. Now, even though I'm not great in math, I can add and subtract simple numbers. 2004, that was what, 19 years ago? Might as well say it was 20 years ago to make the math simple. This kid is 9 years old, which means that he was born in what, 2014? Why is a 9-year-old asking Nikki Haley if she remembers John Kerry in 2004 when he wasn't even born yet? Call me skeptical, but I'm just having a hard time believing that this exchange was authentic. Feels like a setup to me. And if that's true, if that really is the case, the question is, why? Why would Nikki Haley use a 4th grader to accuse her of flip-flopping on Donald Trump? Because she knew it would generate interest. She knew it would draw attention to her campaign. I'll give her credit for it. It worked. Hell, we're sitting here talking about it right now. In her response to this kid, Nikki Haley, she went into full lecture mode to teach him a lesson. Listen here, Sonny. Politics is about distraction. Christie is calling me a flip-flopper to distract young voters like yourself from the real issues. You know, maybe, just maybe, Nikki Haley is using this exchange with this kid to distract the mainstream media from her previous campaign rally, where she was accused of saying that the Civil War was not started over slavery. For 24 hours this week, if you Googled Nikki Haley, that's all you saw throughout the media. Nikki Haley discusses Civil War and fails to mention slavery. This is mythical racism. Now, all of a sudden, all those headlines have changed. Nikki Haley verbally attacked by 9-year-old boy. Is this being used as a distraction? I mean, I'm just following the logic of Nikki Haley here. Was this entire exchange set up to distract the mainstream media from the controversy from her previous campaign rally? Nikki Haley also claimed that people have a problem with her because of her stance on Donald Trump. Anti-Trumpers don't feel like I squeeze the orange hard enough. Pro-Trumpers call me a traitor. I can't win. Me personally, I don't give a fuck about her stance on Donald Trump. My biggest problem with Nikki Haley, I don't believe her. I don't believe anything that she says. She claimed that Trump wasn't right for the country because we can't handle the chaos anymore. A very interesting choice of words. Let's just review here. When Trump was in office, I don't remember a war in Ukraine. I don't remember a war in Israel. I don't remember our southern border being spread wider than the Bruce Caboose at the Butt Bongo Festival. I do remember the chaos in the summer of 2020, but I don't remember Trump being involved. I don't recall seeing him storming police stations. I don't remember seeing him defecating in the streets. If I remember correctly, the people doing all of that, they attend Woke United Methodist on Sunday mornings. Now, to be completely fair to Nikki Haley, it is entirely possible that this exchange with a fourth grader was completely authentic. It's possible, but highly unlikely. I ain't buying it. I think she set this up to erase the negative headlines that have been circulating about her all week. Like she said, politics is about distractions. To her credit, if this was a ruse, it was one hell of a distraction by Nikki Haley. But what do you think? What do you think? Was this real? Was this authentic? Or was it a setup? What do you guys think of Nikki Haley in general? I don't know what it is about her, but I just don't believe anything she says. I always feel like Nikki Haley is hiding something. Now, everyone's got secrets, but I don't know. I don't know what it is about Nikki Haley that I just don't like. But whatever she's selling, clearly I ain't buying it. But give me your thoughts on this. Sound off in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share the video. I appreciate you guys and your continued support. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.